there is a phenomenon that is growing. You see, people are becoming desperate. More and more people are feeling as though all their lives they have been living in some type of construct or matrix. And they are looking, they are searching for the truth. They want it so bad. And they are determined to get to the bottom of things. They want to be the ones that say, look, I told you so. I don't want to be that person. I want to be wrong about all this craziness. Year after year, we are being told this is all coming to an end, but the end never comes. People have become addicted to this idea that there is something more, something hidden. So now everyone is clicking, video after video after video on the strangest things you could ever imagine, looking for answers, right? We all do this. We do. And then there is a fear of someone else's misunderstanding. There is a fear of the unknown. And because they fear the unknown, see, it's much easier to get everything over with right now. It's easier to deal with it. It's easier to accept the reality of the storm once it is upon you, because then you know it's real. And throughout all this tracking down of the truth, they pass right by it without a second look. I remember a time when NASA rocket launches were publicly viewed live in the seat of a classroom. Now very few individuals give a crap about what NASA says or does, and it's apparent. It is apparent. And the lie comes in when we ignore the truth. The power they have to trick us, to fool us, comes from them presenting something to us and us pushing that thing to the side. Talking about, we're not interested in that, NASA. How about you tell us about those space aliens, huh? What about Planet X? Do you see? If you noticed, there has been a huge uptick in the number of discoveries made by the space program. But whatever information they decide to share with the public, they know that most people don't care. They can look at the numbers and see that. You put NASA on television and the ratings drop. And the public will forget what was said, what was done, and what was reported. And they will miss it. They want you to miss it. They want you to say, oh, they found water on Mars. That's crazy. And the next day you're looking at something else that's crazy. So you forget about it. You have to understand, scientists love to tell us about the crazy things they find. They love it. And although there is information that is classified, NASA has no problem telling us certain things because they know we will eat it all up and then spit it right back out. But I'm going to talk about something you may all have missed. I'm going to feed you something you may have never tasted before. So, anyone hungry?
Let's go on this ride, Israel. Let's go on this ride.
Folks, there is a reason why I have been discussing radiation, frequencies, space and time. There is a reason I have been talking about the power of the mind. There is a reason. I bring up things like CERN and Fermilab and Fukushima and the weird stuff, the creatures, the non-human entities. You see, a long time ago, in the early 1900s, something happened. The people in control at that time caught wind of something. They gained knowledge of something. It wasn't until the mid-1900s that their suspicions were realized and they began planning. They began preparing. You know, war can be a great way to distract people, and it is an opportune time to test things out. We all know what started World War II, and we all know what ended it. You see, they needed certain information. They needed to know what would happen. And that event gave them the power to go forward to do some more testing with our approval. And they have been collecting the data. They have been testing and collecting the information. And it has been a race against time to find out how to control matter. Yes, this is the goal. Because this is what they are going to need to do in order to save themselves from what's coming. The arrival. The arrival of a storm from hell. Ancient civilizations knew about this. They wrote about it. You see, the Mayan calendar is not just a work of art, it's science. The pyramids are not just ancient tombs. The Bible is not just a book. And some dismiss it and say that it's a work of fiction. Big mistake. That's like throwing away certain pieces of a jigsaw puzzle and still trying to see the whole picture. It's going to have holes in it. Now, in order to understand what I am going to tell you, you need to understand a little something about your body. Our senses, our nervous system, is our connection to reality. Within that nervous system, there are nerve cells, or neurons. And as we grow older and learn new things and have new experiences and new thoughts, those neurons keep creating new neural pathways and networks, holding all that information you have collected through your senses. These neurons make connections to other neurons, sending electrical pulses of information to one another. This is how your memory works. Now, the longer two neurons are connected to each other, the stronger the connection gets. This is neuroplasticity. You have weak connections, you have strong connections. And sometimes those neurons disconnect. How many of you have ever tried to learn a second language and then forgot almost everything you learned because you didn't use the language? The information was still there in the cells, you just no longer had access to it, because those connections were weakened from non-use and then finally disconnected. Sometimes those connections can be broken. Aside from physical injury, drugs, alcohol can cause connections to break. Trauma can break neural connections as a defense mechanism of your nervous system to keep it from being damaged any further. So people lose access to the memory of that traumatic event. You see, neurons have many connections, many paths, many roads. In this case, the road that the person was taking to get to that memory was no longer there. And some people have to undergo hypnosis in order to find another road to that particular memory. You know what else can break these connections? Radiation, particles, frequencies. The ones who are in control know what happens when you blast particles at a person at high speeds. They know. They've seen it happen in war, and they have tested this. The neuron connections are broken and the person is changed. They are no longer who they were, and depending on the severity, they may succumb to savagery and become extremely violent. All of this is not science fiction. This is not a theory. This is real, folks. They have been able to view this occurring in real time. They have seen neurons do this. They know. And you better believe that our controllers are shaking in their boots. Oh, they're scared to death because they know what's coming, and they've known for quite some time. If you weren't paying attention, you may have missed it. Something happened a few years ago, in 2004. There was an explosion in space. It happened on a neutron star, a magnetar, SGR 1806-20. The radiation that was emitted from that explosion began to travel across space at very high speeds and hit the Earth on December 27, 2004. The gamma radiation from that star, let me tell you something. Our magnetosphere is what keeps those particles from getting in, but because the magnetosphere has weakened, some of those speeding particles got through. And this caused further ionization of our ionosphere. Without the magnetosphere, folks, we are sitting ducks. Not just the gamma rays, but other cosmic particles. And this is the problem. This star, this thing, is all the way on the far side of the Milky Way galaxy, yet a blast wave of particles still made it to us and affected the Earth. Can you imagine what would happen if something closer to us was sending out these cosmic particles? Well, there is. You see, NASA doesn't have to lie about an asteroid passing by close to Earth. They're just not going to tell us about the information they collect after it passes. They hope we won't notice. Understand, asteroids don't come alone. They carry all types of cosmic dust particles and only God knows what with them. And that's not really as important as where the asteroid came from. Does anyone remember what happened in November of 2016? A report was released from NASA. They used both the Spitzer and Swift space telescopes to observe a microlensing event. That is when a star gets brighter because of the gravitational field of at least one cosmic object in the distance. Using this technique, they were able to quote-unquote pinpoint an elusive brown dwarf. Did you know that? Now, one of the things NASA will do when giving these reports, they will tell you the distance of the object from Earth. This time, they did not. They don't even tell you the name of the star this brown dwarf is making brighter, as our sun has in fact become brighter. You see, it's not what they tell you, it's what they don't tell you. And they have been preparing for the incoming of cosmic radiation and debris from just outside our solar system, and the radiation that will also come from the sun. They do not believe that our magnetosphere is going to hold up, and they are going to try and use technologies such as CERN's particle accelerator to control it. I encourage you all to stay tuned in as we have some things to talk about. Oh, I have a lot more to discuss. And we all need to start taking these reports of discoveries a bit more seriously. There is going to come a time when our survival is going to depend on our knowledge of space and our planet. And towards the end of it all, it may all come down to how much we believe or have faith in a creator.